Welcome to Thoughtful Planning, the place where real conversation, expert insight, and a touch of humor meet to turn our end-of-life uncertainties into self-assurance. I'm your co-host Santiago, a history buff and a big kid at heart.
And I'm Honey, your guide through the intricate dance of planning with care and a whole lot of warmth. Every week, we're here to turn those intimidating "are we ready" moments into confident, everything is under control moments. Today's journey is one you won't want to miss. Hi, welcome to Thoughtful Planning. I'm Honey.
And I'm Santiago. Before we begin, please note that this podcast is for informational purposes only. It's not meant to be legal guidance, medical, or financial advice. Please consult professionals for your specific needs.
All right, so today kicks off our special travel planning series. This series came about because of our recent international vacation. We realized just how many details can be overlooked and how important it is to plan before we leave.
So let's get started with our essential question. What would you do before your trip to make sure that your loved ones can help you if there's an emergency?
If you're traveling internationally, here are some suggestions. Each traveler is recommended to register with the U.S. Department of State Smart Traveler Program, referred to as STEP. It takes about 20 minutes to complete, and you'll need your travel details. And each person has to complete their own.
Yes.
You'll also want to consider adding an international phone plan or let your family know how they can contact you, such as using WhatsApp or email. You'll also want to check the type of currency you'll need and reach out to your bank or credit union to see if you can get the currency from them. If not, do a search for a bank in your area where you can do that. You'll also want to add a travel alert to the credit card you'll be using while traveling. And also call the credit card company to see what the fees are for using your credit card outside of the U.S. Next, you'll want to confirm that you have passports, and U.S. citizens should check the U.S. Department of State website or the specific country's embassy website for the most up-to-date information on passport validity requirements. For example, some places require you have at least 6 months of validity remaining from your intended date of return. And then you'll also want to have a printed copy of your passport along with printed copies of your medication list. And you'll want to keep these separate from your passport. This is in case your passport gets lost. And then a safety tip: do not announce your travel plans online, especially if no one is staying at your home.
And that's kind of a hard one to do, especially if you're excited about your trip and you're taking a lot of pictures, post them on social media and all that stuff. It's kind of hard to keep a secret like that, I think. But at least it was for me. So let's go over a pre-flight checklist. Some things you can do before you get on the plane or even before you get on a car if you're going to be driving somewhere. Okay, so choose a trusted contact. For us, we chose our son, who is here in San Antonio, and gave him all the details, and then we also notified our daughter. They need to know how to reach you and have access to your travel plans, hotel information, and like we went on a cruise, so they needed to know that day to day where we were going to be when we were traveling, as well as any travel insurance that we might have. And we're going to have another episode on this, so stay tuned for more information on the insurance stuff. They need to be ready to step in if something happens when you're away.
Right. So we gave our son our spare car keys and told him we'd send a photo of where we were going to park at the airport. That way, if something happened, he knew where the car was parked.
Yep. So when I dropped her off at the front, I drove to the parking spot. I found the parking spot was really hard. And then just took a picture, sent it to everybody on our family list so they knew where that was. So let's talk a little bit about prepping before you leave, even before you leave to leave for the airport. So what we did is we unplugged all unnecessary electronics. We did leave a lamp with timers so they would turn on and off at certain times. We set both of our thermostats to a standard temperature. We checked our alarm, made sure it worked, set it. All of the cameras, we made sure that they were charged and ready to go. And then we double checked the security system in itself to make sure that it could still communicate with the home hub. And then we had to figure out who and what happened to our mail. So all of our mailboxes locked up, so that's fine and good to go. Package delivery. Sometimes you forget about that Amazon package that you ordered 3 months ago and it finally gets delivered. If that happens, have somebody that can come and pick that up for you if you're gone. Mow the yard, set the sprinklers, or hire somebody to water the plants. And then you might actually, if it's just in the wintertime, consider turning off your sprinkler completely and draining it. Trash bins, when we left, it was trash day, so we had to coordinate for somebody to bring our recycle bin and our trash bin back in. Let trusted neighbors, we let a couple of neighbors know our travel dates, and then call the local police here in the town we live in. They'll actually do little courtesy patrols of the house just to make sure everything's okay. As an extra tip, as you're planning, I packed a couple of days before we were going to leave so we could order those last minute items we needed. Thank God we did, because there was a couple things we had forgotten. But do a voltage check for any electronics that you're traveling with outside the U.S., because we're not all on the same voltage across the world. And then something that came up right before we left is a change on the lithium-ion batteries. So generally, before you could travel with a large battery charger, but you can't do that anymore. The battery wattage of, I'm going to read it straight from the site. Batteries with a wattage hour rating of 100 or less are allowed without approval from the airlines. So we had a couple that were 140. Those between 100 and 160 require airline approval before you take them, and they're limited to 2 per passengers. Batteries exceeding 160 watt hours are prohibited from being taken on a plane, period. So, those large brick power sources that we carry now, especially on trips, make sure that they fit within those guidelines. So we actually bought one that was 100 on the spot, and the larger ones we had, we just left at home. That's it for me.
That was a lot.
It is a lot.
So how about digital preparedness? So don't worry, we're going to cover that in a future episode.
So what about text? Well, pet planning tips will also be discussed in a couple of episodes later, but for now, make sure your trusted person knows where your dog food is, the meds, and care instructions, where all that stuff is stored. Honey actually took the vitamins and the meds that Tex takes, and she wrote in a magic marker on top, not a magic marker, a permanent marker, right on top to let our son know if something were to happen to us, this is what you give him when. And then refer back to episode 15, where we talked about our dog Tex and the pet legacy plan that we have for him. And we'll include that link in the show notes.
Also, if you're a small business owner, there's more coming soon just for you. For now, think about who can handle urgent matters while you're away.
Yeah. And Honey talked about the phone plan. So we were on a boat, and during we had a basic Wi-Fi package that was included with our cabin, but that would not support web phone calls or FaceTiming real time. So be careful with that. If you want to contact somebody when you're on a sea day, you might have to pay a little extra for that, and it depends on the boat that you're on whether or not it supports that. We actually paid for an international plan. It wasn't that much. and it was worth it. So as soon as we came within sight of land, it was active, and we could make phone calls and use it just like we were here back in the States. Here are a few action steps to take after you're listening. Make sure you always have a primary contact with 2 backups. Send your travel itinerary, including flights, hotel information. Let them know where to find key documents if they don't already know. Give them emergency contacts such as your lawyer, your bank, and all that other good stuff. Allow an alarm or reminder on your phone of where you're parking at the airport. I took a photo, sent it to everybody so they knew exactly where it was. And then prep your home with the checklist that we just shared with you. I know it was a lot. It's going to be in the show notes, so you'll be able to see all that stuff.
We hope this episode helped you feel more prepared. Stay tuned. Next episode, we'll walk through travel insurance and how to make sure your loved ones know what to do if something happens.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, let's revisit the essential question. What should you do before your trip to make sure your loved ones can help you in the case of an emergency?
All right, so until next time, remember, every chapter you write today shapes your legacy tomorrow. Thank you for joining us at Thoughtful Planning. And just like the vibrant hues of a setting sun, we're wrapping up another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Every shared story and insight is a step closer to turning uncertainty into celebrations of preparedness.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, remember that every surprise that comes our way is an opportunity to grow, adapt, and learn. Stay tuned for more stories, expert insight, and of course, a touch of wit in our next episode.
We're not just co-hosts, we're fellow travelers on this journey. For more information on additional resources, which will help you take the next step in planning, look for the link in the show notes for our membership. Join us next time for another episode of Thoughtful Planning. Until then, keep living, laughing, and loving every moment.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.